Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel. We got some brand new cards to look at today that are going to be featured within our Shrouded Fable set that does come out on August the 2nd, which I cannot wait for because some of these new cards are looking pretty spicy, including a brand new Dusknoir line. And we've always had interesting Dusknoirs, but this new Dusknoir line is kind of crazy. I'm excited to look at all of the brand new cards. Like I said, they are going to be featured in Shrouded Fable, which is coming out in August. I think it's like more of a mini set than anything else, but I'm excited to look at them. If y'all are new here to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. And if you want to enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and all that good stuff. We'll leave a link to Poke Beach here down below. So yeah, we got some new cards to look at. We'll start off with the first one is the brand new Genesect, which is actually a very interesting card that is similar to an old Spiritomb we used to have. So it has the ability Ace Canceller, where as long as this Pokemon has a tool on it, your opponent can't play any Ace Specs from their hand. So it's a pretty straightforward ability. You basically just shut off all Ace Spec cards from working for your opponent when the tool on it. So if you know your opponent has not yet played their Ace Spec card, you can completely shut it off with Genesect. Now, there was an old Spiritomb we had back in the day that had a similar ability. When the Spiritomb was just flat out in play, your opponent just couldn't play Ace Spec cards. And that was a pretty good ability. Now, it looks like they did nerf the ability a little bit because it is a little too OP. Just being able to put a Pokemon down and completely block Ace Specs is a little OP. So they kind of balanced it by making the Genesect have to have a tool on it instead, which is fine. You can put like a rescue board on it. You can put what other tool, really? I mean, rescue board is like the one that comes to mind, to be honest, because Genesect doesn't really do much else other than just sit there and shut off Ace Spec cards. Now, the question will be, is it going to be worth it to play Genesect within your deck? Because you do have to play it with a tool card, so you probably have to play a couple tools in your deck alongside the Genesect. Obviously, you can turn Arven into Genesect, because you can like Arven for Nest Ball plus tool card. And is it worth it? Because shutting off Ace Spec cards, it's very powerful, right? Being able to stop your opponent from having access to cards like Maximum Belt or Prime Catcher or, even Unfair Stamp, which we are yet to see if that card's really going to make an impact on the format just yet. So we're still in like the early stages of the format with Twilight Masquerade, and we'll have to see what other Ace Specs see play, because being able to shut them off seems really good. And there are a couple new Ace Specs we are also getting within Shrouded Fable. So yeah, Genesect definitely could be interesting. Like I said, being able to shut off Ace Spec cards is very strong. But ultimately, we'll have to see if it's going to be worth running this card within your deck alongside the tool cards. And really, is it going to make a difference to play Genesect or not? I mean, you being able to play the Ace Spec, your opponent not being able to play an Ace Spec does give you a massive advantage. But we'll have to see if Genesect actually ends up making a difference. Next up is this new Bloodmoon Ursaluna One Prizer. Now, it is very similar to one of the old Bird Trio cards, the Zapdos. Now, the Galarian Zapdos, Galarian Moltres, Galarian Articuno, One Prizers from Evolving Skies were some of my favorite Pokemon from that era, and this is a very similar card. Once you're in turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may attach up to 2 basic fight energy from your hand to this Pokemon. So yeah, it's literally like Galarian Zapdos, where if you played the Zapdos down, you did the same thing. You put 2 fighting energy on it. So you can play Ursaluna with like Arcanine-V, for example, because the ability is now being reprinted. And then it actually has an attack too. So not only does it have the ability, but it does have an attack. It's got Mud Bite, which for 2 fighting to colorless, obviously you can build this thing up in a single turn. Does 30 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So it does 100 damage, and then does more damage for each damage counter already on them. Plus 30 more damage for each damage counter on can do some pretty big numbers. I mean, if you've already hit the Pokemon, even for like a measly little like 80 damage, this attack is still going to do a lot of damage and can take a big knockout. It's more of a 2-hit KO'er type card. Could be good within like a spread archetype, because you can set up damage across the board and then clean up Pokemon with the Bloodmoon Ursaluna. Yeah, it's not a bad card for sure. I think the ability is obviously the best part about it. It's because it does synergize with Hisuian Arcanine-V, if anybody ever wanted to play that card again. And just having that ability to self-power itself up is really, really nice. Because Galarian Moltres, Galarian Zapdos, Galarian Articuno were some of my favorite cards from back in the day. Well, this card isn't, the same as those cards because it has a different attack, which does make a difference. It's still a decent card, and yeah, I'm happy to see it. It is a fighting Pokemon, also keep in mind, so you can hit stuff for weakness. Now, I don't know if this would see play in, like, Lost Box. Maybe it would see play in Lost Box, so you can, like, finish stuff off with Sableye. I guess that could be a way to go about it, kind of like how you played Galarian Articuno. Because keep in mind, this is a fighting Pokemon, right? So, I don't know, just keeping that in mind with Blissey, Iron Hands, and Arceus all existing in the meta, might not be a bad attacker to have. So I am happy to see that Pokemon reprinted the Galarian Bird Trio style ability on Ursaluna and made it semi-playable. All right, next up, this is where things get interesting. We got a brand new Duskull, Dusclops, and Dusknoir line. Now, these cards are very interesting, especially with what their ability does and what kind of combos you can actually pull off with the Dusknoir line here. So we'll start off with Duskull. Now, it does not have an ability. It does have Meet Up, put up the 3 Duskull from your discard on your bench. I mean, it's okay. You know, nothing special. Probably is the best Duskull to play if you were to play this. Now, we have the Dusclops. Had the ability Cursed Bomb. Once you're in turn, you may put 5 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. If you place any damage counters in this way, this Pokemon is knocked out. So we have another Pokemon in the format that has an ability where it knocks itself out, but it does a powerful effect. Putting 5 damage counters on a Pokemon ain't too shabby. Now, the downside is, yes, you do have to give up a prize card in order to do this, but you do get to put some damage onto one of your opponent's Pokemon. That's not bad. 5 damage counters, I don't think will make a massive difference, though, overall. Like, it might be worth it, because you might obviously need that extra damage to take a knockout, but, like, do you really want to give up a prize card just to do that? It's the question. You are a stage 1, so it is easier to put the Dusclops in play. And you can do some interesting combos with the Dusclops. But where things get really interesting is the Dusknoir. Now, Dusknoir has the exact same ability, except Shadow Bomb, or Curse Bomb, sorry. Instead of putting 5 damage counters on, you can put 13 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and you knock out the Dusknoir. That is really, really insane. 13 damage counters is a lot more damage than 5. 5 damage counters a lot of the time isn't even knocking out basic Pokemon, whereas Curse Bomb is knocking out quite a few Pokemon in the format. I mean, 130 damage can knock out stuff like Bibarel, for example. It can knock out even stuff like Cramorant. Now, it's only on one Pokemon. You can't spread the damage out. That would be a little too OP if Dusknoir could spread the damage around. That would be kind of crazy. Imagine being able to knock yourself out and then put 13 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way. Like, that would be a little too broken. But still, being able to put 13 damage on something is kind of nuts. You can knock something out on your turn. Yes, you do give up a prize card, right? Because you do have to knock yourself out. You're only giving up one prize card, and I think there's a lot more benefits in doing 13 damage to knock yourself out over doing 5 damage counters and knocking yourself out. Now, of course, the main thing I've seen on Twitter is the idea is what you can do is if your opponent has a Bibarel in play, you can Dusknoir, knock itself out, put the damage on the Bibarel, and then you can, like, shrink their hand. So this could be a really good way to snipe Pokemon. You can basically take 2 knockouts in a single turn with Dusknoir, because you can use Dusknoir to knock out a support Pokemon like a Bibarel, and then you can attack any of your opponent's active Pokemon, because this is an ability, not an attack. So there are definitely some very interesting combos you can pull off with this Dusknoir. Now, the downside is it is a stage 2, so you do have to kind of work to get it out. So it is a bit of a slower ability, because you're probably gonna either have to go rare candy in a Dusknoir, or you're gonna have to go evolve manually. I guess you could play like TM Evolution, right? You could like TM Evo Duskull on the Dusclops, and the following turn you will be able to go into the Dusknoir, but still is a very cool card nonetheless. And there are definitely some interesting combos that you can pull off with this Dusknoir. Yeah, you do have to give up a prize card, but honestly, that's fine. You can even use it to activate, like, Reversal Energy if you really wanted to. I don't know, there's a lot of really interesting things you can do with this one prize Dusknoir, and it's cool to see an ability like this in the format. These knocking themselves out type style decks are very interesting, and, you know, with Fortress EX existing, and now we have Dusknoir, who knows what could be possible. But yeah, let me know what you think of the brand new cards. What do you think of the new Genesect? Do you think the Genesect will be a staple within the format, or do you think it's just overall going to be a little mediocre, or do you think it actually will be worth playing to shut off Specs? What do you think of the new Bloodmoon Ursaluna, and what do you think of the new Dusknoir line? Are there any other interesting things you can do with this Dusknoir? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd be very interested to hear that. But that'll be for me on today's video here, looking at some of these new cards from our next set, Shrouded Fable. Some interesting stuff to look at for sure. And it seems that there are going to be a lot of very unique cards within this new set, which I'm excited to see what else gets revealed. And that'll be it for me. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe down below. All that good stuff. We're very close to 14K subs. Make sure to click that subscribe button down below. Catch you all in another video. Bye-bye.